Hello, welcome. It's nice to have you here. So what I'm talking about when it comes to static. So we've got a number of static presets in Nitro. And the concept of a static, hey, Kaizen, hello. The concept of a static preset is a preset that is not designed to have any server at all. So it's still targeted at a platform, so it can support features of that platform that don't require a server. So for example, it can integrate with the CDN, or other features maybe, like Vercel has image support, so maybe it can integrate with images. But you need to have the ability to integrate with that at the Nitro level, and then everything else Nuxt has can hook into that. Ace, hi. So we have had support for this in Nitro for a bit, but it's not worked perfect. Gillian, hello. Good stuff. I'm going to ask you some questions about some of the sort of progress on these, on a couple of PRs. I would love your thoughts. But yes, so in Nuxt, we configure Nitro, and we now have the ability to pass this static flag through. And with the recent bug fix here, I think we are in a position to actually start doing something useful with this, although this is on the Edge release. Yeah, don't worry about it. This is an Edge release, so I'm going to have to override this locally in order to do that. Let's see. But let's see what we can do. So, NitroPack Edge. You can come and have a very quick cuddle.
Is it okay when we do that game?
It is okay. Come, have a quick cuddle.
Is it quite loud for you, Dad?
It's not too loud. You can definitely be playing that.
It is not too loud.
Well, you should also, if anyone says, if Am says it should be quieter, you should be quieter too.
If Daddy says it's okay, but I was worried about him getting distracted on his call.
Getting distracted on my call. What does everybody think?
I help you.
You're going to help me?
I put the people on that side to that way. Mm-hmm. The people gonna talk. And mix all the rubble up.
If you sit here, you can sit here while we're doing a little bit of work. Okay, so we've pulled in the Edge version of TypeScript, of NitroPack, and let's see what we can do here. I think we should be able simply to pass in a static flag like this. And to start with, I think we can just say, if we're pre-rendering, if we're running generate, we should be able to say that we are fully going to, whoops, you're slipping away. You want to come back up? Okay. Or do you want to go somewhere else?
What's Pappy doing?
So we need to see whether, what happens when you hit the keyboard a lot. Why is this? Oh, this is roll up type issues. Okay, so let's see. What I want to try is say, setting the Vercel environment, and then running Nuxt generate playground. So what I would expect there is to resolve the Vercel static preset. And let's see. Whoa. Okay. Come for a cuddle later. Oh, you're going to play that. That's fine too. Let's see. Cannot find module. This is not perhaps what I was expecting.
The battery is fully charged.
Sorry, you can ignore that sound. Let's see. We're not able to pull in from here, get pre-render, This is not what I was expecting to see, but it's good that we're trying this out. Cannot find module next pre-render index time JS. That, oh, I see. The problem is, I think it's to do with our pre-renderer. So if I were to drop that at this point, just not pre-render anything, which obviously is not what we want. We do want to pre-render it, but let's see what happens at this stage. Okay, so this is obviously incorrect because we obviously haven't generated anything in that particular place other than the dist files. Maybe that's fine. Let's see what the actual version is that we've resolved. Hey.
Can you chase me?
A cuddle with Ned. Do you want a last cuddle, Ned, before you go? Last cuddle.
Look.
It is a very, very wet morning here. Very wet morning. Let's... Right, so what are we doing? I'm totally lost. Okay, so we have... Yeah, we're generating this. We have our Nitro config. It's being resolved. At this point, we are calling the... this point, we resolve it.
The bus going to Nicky house and Mummy's. It went to inside your mum. House.
This is what we want to know, what the preset is. Node server, that's not actually right. Oh. Vercel true. I think we might need to add a couple of other things. Just confirm. Okay. Goodbye, Neddy. See you in a bit. So let's see. We were using something called standard env to pull in our environment. So we need to be able to see it here. Providers. And we have a couple of environment variables which tell us that we're in the Vercel environment. Let's see now, but what if we said now builder? Because honestly, I would expect this to pull in. Yeah, there we go. Vercel static. So I don't know why Vercel itself as an environment variable didn't work. But this is now using the Vercel static target. Right. So it's actually generating the .vercel output static. And it's not doing anything else beyond that, although it could right now. But this will actually fit into the build output API that Vercel have. So if we enabled, say, some root rules here and said something like this, admin redirect to new admin, this should now generate, fingers crossed, a roots.json as well. Okay, it's not. That is not right. Let's try this again. Oh, maybe because we're not actually pre-rendering anything. Possibly. Let's have a little deep dive into what's going on under the hood. So if we have a look at NitroPack dist, oops. We should have a pre-render command, not a pre-render command, we should have a, we're interested in the Vercel static target. So what it needs to do, it needs to have this roll up before hook and compiled, and it should call this and do something at this point. So let's just confirm that these hooks are being called correctly. Console log compiled, and we'll maybe log out the build config path as well to see where it's generating this. Hello, welcome. So that did not do what I expected. So I would expect this compiled hook to run. And I'm very curious as to why it didn't. So I think there's probably an upstream bug in Nitro. So let's have a look. Let's just have a look at the hooks that are resolved. And I wonder if what's happening is that we are, interesting, we have a rollup before we have a compiled hook. Maybe the compiled hook isn't being called. That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. Compiled to string. It's almost certainly going to be the same thing that we're looking at. Yeah, it's the Vercel static compiled hook for sure. It's never being called, presumably because it's not. Maybe we're not calling a compiled hook in Nitro Pack. So let's just clone Nitro and open window. Oops. That's and if we open, let's see. Open the same computer again. Okay. So we're calling compiled. So we should be calling compiled fully, even if it is a static hook. So the question is why this isn't being called, if indeed it isn't being called. Let's just confirm what's going on under the hood. Don't you love it? Okay, so we should maybe it's that maybe there's some kind of error here. Let's see. Try it again. Very weird. Okay, so we generated a public. It must be something to do with the. Maybe we're not ever hitting this branch. Or building. We should be doing. Oh, I think. I'm sorry. This is my own fault here. We should actually run the build command, and we're not doing that in Nuxt probably, because what we have got is a previous pattern, which is that we only call the build command if it's not generate mode. So actually, we want to do this always, and basically just wrap this like that. So. If Nuxt options generate, then we're going to link this dist, but we're always going to run build. So let's try that now. Hopefully that will work a little bit better. Right, excellent. Okay, so now we're getting some logs. And hopefully we are also, which shows that the command is running. And hopefully we're also, yeah, we have got our Nitro config. Have our Vercel overrides configured. And obviously we have our static files as expected. Tom, Reaper, hey, this is nice. What this remote machine is like. This is it's a VM running on Microsoft Azure. And it is very high powered as a machine because I don't use it very much. So it's sort of what are its specs? So it's got what's its memory like? Got a lot of memory, 128 gig, and what is it? In terms of CPUs, we've got 3 processors, sort of 2.8 gigs. So it's not just a sort of mini machine. Hey, Brocard. So yes, but I only use this when I'm streaming. So most of the time I develop on my own laptop, but I just don't want to overload the laptop when I'm streaming because it's not very nice when frames cut out and so on. So. Okay, so this is good. So this is working so far as the build is concerned, but what isn't working yet is the pre-render step. So let's see why that isn't working. So what's happening here is, what's happening here, I think, is that we are trying to pre-render the app, but we haven't initialized the preset properly. So let's see. Console log Nitro renderer, or maybe normally we should be building this, so we should produce this somewhere. Let's see. Should be doing this here. David, hello. This is VS Code 404. If you like my config, I'm happy to share the gist. Let's see. Back to, okay, so something's happening here. We don't have this index being generated. I wonder if it's being generated in a different path. So we should have, we really should be doing this. I think this isn't Nuxt doing this. It should be Nitro that's generating the pre-render path. And let's see, probably here. Yes, that's the issue. It's expecting to find it in the wrong, the build directory pre-render. Oh dear, I hear some crying. Ned! Come in, Ned. Did I hear that someone wants a cuddle? Do you want a cuddle?
ready. Make it cold.
Got my clothes.
Is this puppies? Hey.
Is it puppies? No. It's daddies. That's daddies.
Is that daddy's?
No, the woman is. It's a statue that Teddy has.
But I want this.
Oh, that. Can hold it. Do you want to go play with it in the other room?
Can we turn it?
No, I think not.
Is this the wheel?
That's so we can turn the fire up and down.
Is it up and down?
Maybe following these.
Mm-hmm.
Go play with Daddy's earphones. Why don't you go play in the other room, and if you ever need to come and cuddle me, you can come and cuddle, okay?
What Daddy said.
You can come and cuddle me. But right now, if you can go and play, how about that?
Move the tail away myself.
Good idea.
Sorry, team. Okay. So, what are we doing? We are trying to find the server directory output and just validate whether or not this is the issue. Okay. So we want to see if in Nuxt, when we initiate the pre-renderer, whether what is happening, options. Oh, this is fair output. Like what is coming out? Oh, we might have to access it this way.
Want this?
Let's see if we can.
Want this?
Options.
Want this?
Hey, hello, nice to see you.
Is it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
So the server directory is listed here, which is where we're expecting it. Somehow, I think we have to override static false at this point. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's what it is. The issue, I think, is that basically we were not generating. Am I ready for 3.6? That is a very good question. There's a lot going on in terms of needing to make sure that everything is working, up and working. Let's just check that it looks like that's not used. And I think we basically need to override static false. There we go. Okay. Okay, this is something we can push up and then locally keep working with the forked version.
Dad, look at it.
I can do what?
Look at this.
And locally we can keep working with the version we've got. So, pull requests. And I have a strong feeling this will be merged quickly because I'm pretty sure Priya is working on Nitro right now.
But I want that. And I don't.
Sorry for the brevity of the PR, but I think it's a quite straightforward fix. Okay, so basically we have now a setup where we're pre-rendering some pages. We're generating a Vercel output config file, and yes, that's what we want, I think. We'll probably want to confirm that in a bit, but I think we can, let's see, just drop these files and commit this as a test. Great. I think this might literally be all we have to do as soon as we fix the upstream issue in Nitro. Good. It would also be nice at some point to configure this, whether or not we generate this dist folder symlinked up to output public. Because right now it is, but we don't allow users to configure whether or not it is created, and if we do, like what its location is. So we could do that. We could allow that to be configured. But I think that's a separate matter. Okay. And I'll just stick this, so fix Nitro static and fix Nuxt. Pass use static Nitro build if possible. You can totally use Nitro outside of Nuxt, and I have done that as well. It's a great pattern. I built, so when I first built the Nuxt bot, which is deployed on Lagon, this one, this I first built in Nitro without Nuxt, when it was just API, and then added Nuxt for the front end. And even now, you can completely disable the Nuxt integration here, and it will still work. Oh, nice. Oh, and thank you for all the gifts. This is fun, by the way. Yes, I need to review this PR. Maybe we can do that today. Right. Oh, I think I need to push it. Yes, Ned. See what we can do. Okay, so right. This one is not a window changer, that's just a tab changer within the browser. So if you're using Arc, that will actually that's just a control tab, and it's quite fun. Okay, and this is a mix of bug fix and enhancement, because there are definitely some bugs that will be solved by it. Okay. And new Nitro release. Excellent. Okay, that's nice. That's really, really nice to get that sorted. So window managing. So I use something called Snap, which is this. No, I don't want to open it on the store. This. I use for sort of Apple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It actually opens the corresponding thing on my dock. So I don't have my dock visible. So I don't see it. I don't have a dock, basically. I just use these shortcuts to open apps. It's free. So I would definitely check it out. I love it. And then Raycast is my sort of Alfred replacement, and that is also free, unless you go for the tier that has AI, which that's maybe not a bad idea. It looks like they're good at shipping useful features, so I don't mind paying for things that make a meaningful difference to sort of work. Okay, so great. So we've got that up and running. I thought that was going to be slightly more complicated. And I think that's going to enable us to do things like, well, let me just confirm that this is in fact now going to work. Okay, so let's pull in Nuxt image. Nuxt image edge. And because there's currently an outstanding issue there that was initially fixed when I introduced the static presets to Nitro, but it's subsequently regressed. So let's see if that fixes it here. Oh, do I need to provide a... Okay, this is the issue. So basically we need to it will be difficult to tell actually, because we won't be able to do this, to debug this locally. We would need to push. No, the spacing of my apps is a different thing. The spacing of my apps is handled by Rectangle, which is also great. And I also love it. So highly recommend it. It's also free and open source. So check it out. It's great. You can have different keyboard shortcuts. So I can send this to another part of my screen, and then back to this screen, to another part, back again. It's really, really nice. And I have presets that are like specific pixel places on the screen, so you can just throw them around. And it comes with great ones that are great ones by default. And there is a Pro, which actually I bought because I thought it was worth it. And I wanted to support the developer. Not that it was very much, but it's really nice feature. I would say Raycast does have some window management, but it's not as full featured as Rectangle. Okay, so the issue is when deploying. So if I were to, well, actually, what we're interested here is in the config. So, yeah, this is what needs to be generated, and it is. So this issue is basically solved. That's very nice. So yes, this is the thing basically. Okay, so that will be resolved. So we can link this through to the PR that we are just creating. And we also have a couple of other bugs that are, I think, quite similar. So maybe this. Yeah, this should work as well. Oh, thank you. I'm going to put it on my ear. It's not making music. I have to connect it up to my phone or my laptop to make music. Maybe I can try to do that and you can listen to it. What do you think? it's not connected to my phone. I'll have to do it another time. But maybe we can get that playing some music later. Mehmet! Hello, nice to see you. Okay, so, yeah, we're just updating it to indicate it will close those things. We'll have to confirm it, obviously. But we're currently waiting for the... Oh, it's already merged. That is fast, isn't it? Has he? Well, it's a very good question. I wouldn't be surprised if he's done one. Maybe by accident. Okay, so we've got a push to npm. Let's pull it into our package and just confirm that everything works, which we're expecting, right? Super. Okay, so what have we got? Yeah, that seems fine. Let's test it with, yeah, let's test it. And I think, how will we test it? I think we don't really need to do much more here. If I go to the actual PR, I can release it on the edge. So added a nice little bot command. So when you type trigger CI release in CI, it will run an action to release it to the edge. And yeah. And basically that will then allow us to use this in a project straight away without needing to do any packing or anything like that. And the benefit of that is we can actually deploy it to Vercel and check, is this fully working? No, it works. Every time you do it, it re-releases it. What do you mean? It only works one time. Hey, nice to see you. I'm doing well, thank you. Right. We have to confirm this in a sec. I'm going to update the branch to signal to me that I am looking at it. So if what you mean is it only it won't re-release it when there are new commits, no. So it's not that you run it and then it re-releases it every commit. It will actually only do it when you specifically trigger it, and that is really because I want to make sure that for example, if I run this on a PR and then someone pushes malicious code, it doesn't get put into a user's project. Like I have to sign off on the release. Right, so what we're going to do is just quickly start a test project here, and we are going to start a new project with my quick little command here, Vercel image test. Come on, people, build the packages, and we're going to want to to confirm that all of this works as we expect. But I'm optimistic about it. It could be even more minimalistic. I have like commented out options in my config, which I can actually use to turn on more minimalism, because I do like it to be minimal. I only have the line numbers on for the stream so that you can tell me by line when I'm wrong. Otherwise, I wouldn't have line numbers on. I don't like it. Seems to me like it's unneeded if you're just developing it yourself. So what Nitro Static is a... Oh, absolutely, it is minimal. So Nitro Static is a preset which combines the static build, which like a pre-rendering, which Nitro does already offer, with provider features. So the idea is for example to have like redirects which are powered by, say, Vasello Netlify's CDN that we can include, even though there's no server, without you needing to manually create an underscore redirects file or something like that. Where are we? Yes, we're here. So we're going to open up the cell image test.
I need this hair clip.
A hair clip. Thank you. Should I put that on? Thank you, Ned. Okay.
It's a flower.
It's a very beautiful flower. Oh, seed. Oh,
The coffin is charged. That.
what's that?
It's the coffin is charged.
I think the car might be charged. Do you want to take that into the other room and
Is it?
give it a try? I do have one, although it's not up online. So remind me, I'll put it up. I'm using Presto. Right, why is this not opening? What am I looking for? Code. And no, it's in temp. Ugh. No, that's good. Open Visual Studio. I don't even remember, like, how do I open this? Applications, right? Applications, that's it. It's not working for some reason. Goodness, I don't know what's going wrong with Visual Studio Code. But, okay. Oh yeah, so it has built, thank you for reminding me about that. So what we'll do is take this and use it in this new PR, if I can somehow figure out how to open it. It is temp. How do I not even... This is crazy. Please open this. Can I please open that? Thank you. We're going to add this as our package. Yeah. And we're also going to, we're also going to install we're also going to install image edge. And then we are going to use it in Nuxt config here and make sure to configure it so it would all work as we expect. So something like Nuxt image source is, let's pull in a remote source like, we're going to use me. And I'm going to have to indicate that this is an allowed origin. Domains, I think. hosts. Give it 1 second while it prepares the thing. Domains. Okay. So this should be fine. And I want to generate the build. Let's just see if I can deploy this to Vercel and have it work. Hey, Aussie boy. Okay. Vercel is just a great experience, like really lovely. So fast as well. Like it's installed, it's already built, it's deployed. Like that is just beautiful. It is with some regret that I'm not using their web analytics anymore. Basically because the free tier is too low. Okay. And it's me, but is it me through Vercel? It is. So it's all working beautifully. This is a generated page, so I think we can happily say the issue is resolved. Good. Good. That's really pleasing. That's really pleasing. So all we need is the new Nitro release, and we can merge this as well. Good. I'm pleased. I'm really, really sorry about that. There's far too large a picture. And I basically don't have any pictures of myself. So it's staying around until I get a new picture, and I'm just not getting new pictures, it seems. So we'll have to see about that. 5-minute break. 5-minute break, and we'll do something new. So I regard this as done, pretty much. The static preset is complete. The integration with Nuxt, we've tested it, and it works. But there's some things that we can do. So I think some features we can stick in, or maybe some bug fixes if you really want. So have a think as to what you might want, and we'll come back to it in a sec. See you soon. Okay, I'm back, I think. So, right, what is next? What is next? I think we should crack through a couple of these PRs. We might also just very, very quickly check the Nitro PR that I / someone else linked previously. This one. So it seems to be so I think this is probably a regression caused when we moved to the new ISR pattern. So basically, let's see. So in a configuration where there is no interesting. Yeah, that's right. Hey, nice to see you, Dev Panda. Yeah, no, that is right. I'm not sure about the URL piece there, but this is right. So that looks good to me. Okay, let's have a look at maybe some other things that we can do in terms of things that are ready to go. So this should be resolved in the latest Nitro pack, I believe. So I'm just going to assign myself to that to remember to close it when we upgrade. Let's have a look at some other things. We can check and tell people when we're using too old a version of Node. I think that's probably something we could do. It doesn't seem like it's a top priority though. This is a bug we could fix. It was an enhancement, but the enhancement doesn't fully solve the issue. So basically what we want is when we're running something long in middleware, like doing some loading, and we are navigating back to the same page. I'm not actually sure this reproduction shows anything because it doesn't have a loading indicator even. This is often the case. Someone can clone, do some work in a stackblitz and forget to save it. So you sort of open it and the reproduction doesn't do what you want. It's a shame. Oops. But let's see if most of it is there, if I can figure out how to reproduce the issue here. So the example page is navigate to a different query, and the loading indicator, they say, gets stuck. So we can probably reproduce that much more easily locally. So let's try, we can close this out because it worked. Let's try it here. So we can get rid of these things. And I think it actually probably makes sense to make that change to the get ignore. And let's see if we can reproduce the issue. Okay, so basically this is a transition between pages. So we have this built-in next loading indicator component, which is going to display a little bar across the top. And we'll set throttle 0 to mean we'll display it straight away rather than after a certain amount of time. And then we're going to have a page component here, and we're going to have a middleware which takes a fair amount of time to do anything. In fact, we probably don't even need to render the page. Let's just have a button that is going to navigate us to another page. So navigate to plus math random. So it's a new thing equals. Okay, so that's going to navigate us to a new route. And we do actually need to enable, we'll just make it pages index. Okay. So what I'm expecting is that this is going to replicate some kind of issue with a loading indicator never going away. Okay, so click, and yes, it doesn't go away, it just stays there. And the issue is that we are not, so in the loading indicator, we are currently starting the navigation, the loading indication whenever middleware starts, and middleware is obviously running here. Do that. It would be nice to solve it. So let's just see, is this running when we click the button? Yes, it is running. The difference is that it's a different route, but it's not a different component. Because it's not a different component, then it's not, there's never going to be a page finish thing there going on. So what we can actually do is say, if to matched I think we're going to want to say every. So in other words, if it is fully the same component. So every component is, let's try this, component and index. And we're basically going to want to say from matched index dot components default equals, I think, this. And we'll do a quick check to make sure that is the case. But I feel like that's likely to be it. Oh, what have I done? I've missed a bracket probably. There we go. Okay, let's have a look and see what that does. So basically, no, it says they're not the same. Oh, does this need to be? Oh, this is a root, so it needs to be components default. Let's try that again. And let's update the test. Yes, that is working as we expect. So basically the thing that this is doing is instead of checking the root, it's checking whether there are different page components loaded. So we could also check the root. So if 2 equals from or, so in other words, root hasn't changed at all, or it has changed, but there's no component change going on. I think that makes sense to do. Great. I think that was an easy fix. We're going to call it fix. We should probably push our current changes and mark this as yes. It's a very good point. Yeah, it's better for sure, because it might not have the same level of we can probably also make it slightly more performant by just checking that. Okay, so fix next transition, stop loading indicator when not changing page component. That should resolve this. Or at least it should resolve the regression. What test PR? Is that for me or is that for Aussie Boy? Actually, to be honest, okay, great. Okay, next issue. Let's look for a good first issue, because I'm sneakily taking them away from people. Okay, label 3.x, and let's try this. Scroll to top true doesn't work for nested pages. Okay, let's try that. Unless someone else has a PR you want me to look at, or an issue that you're facing. Let's see. Okay, so if we have some nested pages, the first thing to create in our little reproduction. So maybe we have pages index, and we've then got another page which is something like index test, and then we can make further. Well, that's probably good enough, right? Okay, so we'll basically in here we'll say parent next page, and in here we have to say child next page, and we it's just a child, and but we wanted to make it really high, so let's say style margin top is 200 vertical height, and we can probably do the same, or padding. I think margin top should be fine. And we want to do the same here just to make sure we've got lots of stuff scrolling around. And the issue is, I guess, define page meta, scroll to top, true. Is that what it is? Oh, we need to transition. So it needs to be something like slug. And then, wow. Root params, slug. Nothing seems to be rendering. What is this? Oh, because it's all below. Right, that's why there's nothing there. So so yeah, it's all down there. And we're going to need a link. So we'll create a link to scroll to top. Okay, so we need a link somewhere down here. Next link to some page. And again, just to make it possible to get away with the navigation, you might actually just make this a button. Never make a link a button, but in this case we need to be able to do that without hydration errors. And so I just want to say navigate to some random slug. Okay, so there we go. It's seeming to scroll up to top. So what's the issue? Should probably have started with this. Let's just clone this. Yes, in Nux 3, we deliberately do not want to support external config files. We don't want to support vite.config.ts. We don't want to support webpack configs. We don't want to support an external post CSS config. It all needs to be defined in Nuxt config. And the reason is that other Nuxt modules might rely on it, for example, and they can't be expected to resolve the configuration from an external file. So that is intentional. But we just merged a PR that basically warns you if you have a vite.config file that's external to Nuxt. And I would recommend, like, it might well be worth doing something similar for post CSS. Okay. Right. Okay, where are we? Oh yes, we're trying the nested scroll to top business. Okay, let's see if I can make this a little bit clear. It's more similar to the issue. So we've got, okay, how did he describe it? So go to the account, scroll, and go to the address. Okay, account, scroll a bit, click address, and it doesn't go up. Okay, so we have the account page, and we're going from index to address. Okay, so the issue here is that we're going from one page which has a which doesn't have scroll to top to a page which does. So I think that might be the issue more than anything else. So if we basically say this here is index, and it doesn't have the defined page meta. Let's see what happens now. So starting, and we'll probably want a link back to home page. Right, so home, some page, home, some page, did seem to scroll to the top, home, that didn't scroll to the top, that's correct, but some page does scroll to the top, and that all seems fine. Maybe the issue is the level of nesting. Let's just confirm that this is still replicable on the latest version here. Okay, so I've not forgotten about this. Module alias typing, not working on playground. Oh, the types aren't working in the playground. Okay, well, I suspect this is going to be a more straightforward issue. So let's see if we can solve it. So let's clone it here. And just check what's going on in the latest version. Still installing. No, I understand. But I think it should be straightforward to fix the TS error as well. Or I'll give you a straightforward answer. It shouldn't take long, is what I'm saying. Okay, so we have 3.5.3, and we want to see if the behavior is still replicable there. I assume it must be, because someone commented just today, but still I want to confirm. And meanwhile, we can open up a new window. No, we can actually just swap out Nitro, because I think open folder, and we will open up this Nux3 Stripe project, and back to Nux. Okay, so scroll a bit, click address. Let's just show the meta. Ooh, that's interesting. No, that's fine. It's just caused by the Maybe it's what we're scrolling to the top of. I bet that's what it is. I bet that's the difference with our project, that the containers are slightly different, so that the element that is scrolling to the top is different. We can test that in a sec. Okay, back to Nux 3 Stripe. We have our module. We can install our packages. And we have Nuxt.rc, which includes the workspace. And the module alias is... the alias is Stripe server there. Yes. The issue here is that you also have to add, this is just how TypeScript works, I think. Hey Heb. This is how TypeScript works, and that is you actually have to point this to a file in order to get any kind of typing to work. So you need to basically do this down here in Nuxt prepare types, something like tsconfig, so options tsconfig dot compiler options dot paths Stripe server equals there you go. And I don't think you need to add the types, probably. Let's see. PNP. Oh no, it's yarn, isn't it? Yarn dev prepare. And let's see if that worked. No. Oh. The reason is that it's not augmented here in this. Let's just rename that for a second. So it's fine here. The issue is with the change that I made. So that is what you should do. Like augment it with compiler paths. But the issue is that this is within the server context. And at the moment, Nitro doesn't support customizing the generated tsconfig. This has only just been merged, let's see, 4 days ago, so it's not yet released. So when this merges in, which will be later today, into Nuxt, it will become possible to configure the, I'll make a PR, but it will become possible to add compiler options to the Nitro tsconfig as well, which is what you'll need to do. So the first thing to do is this. That's what you want. And actually, you probably don't want to add it to the add to Nitro tsconfig instead. But basically, once that is done, the Nitro change merged into Nuxt, this will be the correct answer. And so we can basically say do you want me to just copy and paste that to you, or? Yeah, you're right. So basically, this is what you want. Actually, I'll just do it in a quick PR. As it is already here. Source, module, edit. So nice to, like the user flow for making a PR without needing to clone is not bad, I think. Although I should introduce you to the joy of StackBlitz's code flow, which is very, very nice in Yes, Heb. I got it. I figured out it was you. It's really nice to see you. Heb has been doing all kinds of great stuff. So just take a look. There's like half a dozen PRs across the Andreas and Nitro ecosystem. And oops. Okay, so I think we can close this. This isn't I wouldn't say is a next issue, or rather it can be tracked by the existing. Or no, we can reopen it and wait to close it until we merge that in. So I'll just assign it to myself and give it a label bug p3 upstream. Okay, and now we have another. We have to come back to this one. Ugh, what am I doing? Firing up random windows. We want this, and I think the issue is the margin top and where it is. Hey, that's really nice of you, Flo. I do totally remember that, Heb. This one wasn't from. Was it from a medical company or was it for a parent scheme? I don't fully recall. Let's see. Right. Reaper had this one. I need to have some alerts. I do have some alerts. I have some alerts. They should appear like on the screen over there, that way. If they're not showing up, then it should do that. Is it Hype Train? I don't actually know what Hype Train is, so I'm a little confused by the possibilities. But what is a Hype Train? Is it when stuff is happening? The idea is that there's stuff happening. I like the sound of that. Okay. You have like an event. I see what it is. Okay, it happened once. It happened when I basically first had the ability for people to subscribe. So I think that's probably what it is. Okay, what are we having? So we have... Yes. The issue here is, I think... Okay, Reaper, the issue here is that these hooks, there are two sets of hooks. So these are build time hooks, whereas this plugin, Nitro plugins, are runtime. So they don't relate. So the runtime hooks, there are many fewer of them. And we only have just merged a PR to type Nitro runtime hooks, which means that now you get a type error when you try and do that, because those hooks are build time. And so you can configure those in the Nitro config. Or if you're programmatically instantiating Nitro, you can type them in the options that you pass or the overrides that you pass. But basically the only runtime hooks are render response and close, unless you're using something in Nuxt, which has other things. This plugins, yeah, it's not either way, those hooks are not going to be, Nitro plugins are not build time. Nitro doesn't have the concept of that kind of extension. That all Nitro plugins are runtime plugins. And it's a great feature request to add, because I think it would enable a lot of extensibility. Just like Nuxt has modules, Nitro could have, runtime plugins or whatever. Okay. So back to this thing. This basically forces scrolling to top if it is a different route. Not sure whether that's the right thing to do. Okay. Okay, so if it doesn't equals false, oh, it's saying scroll to top if route is changed by default. That's a very good question. I think the plan is I think basically the more people use Nitro, the more we can focus on filling in the gaps. Because right now, Nuxt and Analog are the main users of Nitro, and I would love to see more frameworks using it, because basically Nuxt does so much on its side that we almost don't need Nitro almost isn't being pushed or asked to do some of these things. Like, we're only recently adding the ability to extend the generated TS config, because Nuxt has taken over all of that for the Nuxt side, and it's only now we're bringing that feature that Nuxt has to Nitro. So the more people use it and ask for features, I think the more Nitro is going to become more and more mature. But I think we have great plans for it. So they're saying if I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, this isn't right. We need to update this to our change that we made just in the other PR we made, I think. So this here. Oh wait, literally someone has opened it a few moments ago. So no, exactly. We do need to communicate that. So this is how we're going to tell if it's the same page component. And probably that is what we're going to want to suggest here. It is. I spend a lot of time talking about Nitro because I'm pretty excited about it. But I do agree. I think it needs to be. People need to talk about it, for sure. And I think that's only going to increase in terms of people talking about it. What are we looking for? What file is this in? Utils. Oops. There we go. Oh yes, I saw your meta framework, the Vue meta framework. That was really nice to see. Okay. Well, we're not going to do this then. Someone else is already picking it, which is fantastic. Israel. So, what are we going to do? We can have another look. So, this one, let's remove the assignees. You can assign this to me as well. I just added another PR. Smooth scroll on hash links. This should be straightforward to do too. Well, I don't think it's that important. What's this? Okay, this is a type 1. We could remove excluding body when the method is undefined or get for use fetch. This is a fun issue. Okay, so basically, you can't pass a body to a get request. At least we don't support it. So in use fetch, we can probably exclude body if the method is get. So we could do something like this. So this will be interesting. So let's just open our type test and let's create a test for it. And this isn't actually running, it's just type checked. So what we want to do is something like this. So expect type of use fetch body Actually, we don't need to do any expect types. We basically want this to produce an error. So body cannot be passed to get request. And we want to do the same here. Okay. And obviously they're fine at the moment because that's the current state of play. So what we want to do is something like this. we want to, come on. We want to exclude it. Now we have access to this available router method, so we could do something like, I'm not sure. Not actually sure we can pull this in. Let's see. We have a method. Okay, so we could basically say something like omit body. So doing that is going to I would expect that to do something. Yeah. So now body is going to throw an error, right? So it's going to say doesn't exist in type. So what we could do is basically have two options here. So one with and one without body. And basically say method extends get, then we omit it, and otherwise we allow it. So extends I think we might have to just do that manually. So okay. I think I'm not sure this is going to solve it. Maybe. But extends can be a very, very tricky thing because I don't think you can't just do or extends, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I think you have to chain them, which is a terrible pain. So you could basically do this and then drop it again. But it is better if we don't have to do that, right? Like that is a shame. It's annoying. Oh, interesting. Why is this allowing it? Well, I mean, this is basically like what? Yeah, it does feel hacky, but this is basically a lot of what, as far as I can tell, TypeScript like coding is like when you're dealing with generics. There's hugely nested like type options just because of how constraining TypeScript is. Why? What's the issue here? I think, okay, what is the method actually coming in as? It's coming in as get, coming in as, I see, it's actually coming in as a lot of valid options, which I think is actually a bug. Are there any to-dos in here? Yes, okay, there is a bug. Okay, this is caused by this. Seems to be waiting on me. So the issue here, I think we can safely remove this, in fact. I have had a terrible experience with ChatGPT and TypeScript. Whenever I have asked it anything, it has failed totally. Like, it just doesn't give me what I'm looking for in terms of TypeScript, in terms of advanced TypeScript stuff. And we can update the PR to be shorter. I would like to have there be better ways of measuring the performance impact of things like that. And Vite has had a very, very nice recent push on performance. And I would like to do something very, very similar with Nuxt in terms of enabling people to profile, to easily see the impact of build plugins on the process, so that we can actually have some kind of measure of this. So it depends on the PR and the method that you're using. But basically, it will be called probably every time we regenerate the templates in the build directory, even virtually. And that can be quite a lot. So just add a log and actually see how many times it hits your terminal. You can also put like console time and console time end, and actually have a look and see the performance implication just locally in development. Okay. It's tricky. I mean, you can extrapolate if you know how long it takes to run. Okay, let's see. let's take a 5-minute break, and then we can maybe dive into the root accessibility announcer after you come back. Okay, see you in a second. Okay, I am back. So let's do this. I would love this, by the way. A root accessibility announcer. Oh, Heb. And Joaquin, hello. Nice to see you. So the answer is, how likely would it be to drop Webpack? It's very, very unlikely we'll drop it. So right now we have a PR which is in progress, moving to RSPack. But I think it's true that we are full in on Vite and the Vite ecosystem. So I don't think we're losing out in any way. But the fact that we have a drop-in bundler replacement means that somebody could build a new someone could build a parcel integration for Nuxt, so it's built with parcel if you want, because we have everything is abstracted away from the API. Cannot get data to load when using SSR at all. Do you have a reproduction that I could look at? And I will have a look. Okay, so what are we looking for? So I have implemented announcers before. Basically, I think this should be built in. A snippet is fine if I can copy and paste it into a reproduction on my computer here. So this is basically what we want. It's not lengthy or complex. And I think it makes sense for it to be and this is enabling it with a plugin, which is here, and it's installing it globally. That's likely not how we want to do it. This is also a package that depends on Vue 2. So we're probably, oh, there is a Vue 3 branch. Vue 3 branch, next. Okay, it has a composable. There's some things about like that composable isn't going to work everywhere in Nuxt. That will only work within components, I think. Or maybe not. Let's have a look. If we can use a third-party package, then I'm very happy to ship it with Nuxt. But it's also very possible that we'll need to have better integration in Nuxt too. We actually don't need telemetry in order to see. You can just look at the npm.js downloads. So basically, if you want to have a look at the differences between the Nuxt, Webpack and Vite, have a look at Nuxt, Vite Builder, and Nuxt Webpack Builder. Yes, I mean, it won't be usable in plugins though, or it might not be usable in plugins. Like if you want to call use announcer outside of a Vue component, it might not work. That would be what I would be worried about. So you can see the weekly downloads of Webpack are less than 1,000. And the Vite Builder are nearly 200,000. So if that answers your question about relative usage, it's 200 to 1. But that doesn't mean that we should drop support for Webpack. But there is a huge disparity there between the usage of the two. And that's obviously because Vite Builder is shipped by default. So, you know, we're obviously very much making that happen. I think whatever we do, we're not going to move away from the sort of extensible builder. So it should always be possible for people to build with Webpack if they want to. Yes, this is Arc. This is Arc. Right. Okay, what are we even going to do? I think I'm not going to do the announcer right now. because I think it requires a little bit of thought. Let's see, where are we? I would be willing to talk about whether we make it a community builder for Nuxt 4 rather than being in the core, but that's a different question, I think. It is Arc. If you want an invite, I can get an invite for you. Right, let's look at something. Does anyone have something you're struggling with, or something that you would like to build, or something like that? Failing that, I can dive into the yes. I can tell you how to do that. So you can do this. If we have our app here, and you want to make a change to, sorry about that. If you want to make a change to your HTML, you can do something like this. Server plugins HTML inject .ts export defaults define Nitro plugin, Nitro app, and we can hook into Nitro app hooks, hook, render HTML, and we can pull in HTML context, and basically HTML context.body. Let me just confirm, render HTML is body. Delay the passing of head, which typically you don't want to do. So what this would do is just put it within your body, so it would look like this. But you might want to put it earlier or somewhere else. What have I got going on? Oops. What was that even doing? So well, that's weird. What am I doing wrong? Oh, it's 3001. It's also complaining. Yeah, the form action module looks really great. Really interesting concept. Come on. Oh, it's 3000. Why are we getting page not found? What have I done? Ah, this folder. Let's try that again. So there we go. So you have your built at being injected there just after the body. If you want to inject it somewhere else, so you can actually hook into render response as well. So you could do but I wouldn't do this. But this is technically possible to do. So there you have it. It's injected there. But really, I wouldn't put it in front of your HTML. And also, I wouldn't guarantee this would continue to work. This also will be called for things like errors, and body will also be called even if it's a JSON body. So you can't assume that this is a string. So maybe you would do something like if type of body equals string. Bear in mind, it might also be called for like an image response, so that there are other things you'll need to check. Exactly, a browser. I would for sure put this after your head, because you want you don't want. There's basically a certain number of bytes in which the browser is going to get the chunks, like the first bit of information, and so you don't want to put anything in there that isn't needed. So I mean, I think the key thing is to have scoped view components. Yeah, and so like you have a clear feeling, and you can mount view to just those components as required. So yeah, I mean, don't do this, but that is how, like, those are two hooks you can modify. Okay, snippet. So here we go. We have. Oh, and remind me what the issue was. There was a, scrolling up, external API. Okay, and so the issue is we have some external API. It's HTTPS. Is there a valid certificate? So the question is, because Node has a very specific way of, so you may have to set this Node SSL, almost certainly that is the issue. And you specifically have, so it's in the docs. Let's see. But it's it's not about this. It's in the docs for dev here. But basically, if you were serving your own app on this, you have to set node TLS reject unauthorized is 0. If your if your app itself, your Nuxt app is served on it. But I think you'll probably also have to do that if you're fetching from another dev cert, because otherwise fetch will refuse to authorize the certificate. But probably you have your browser configured to accept it, but you haven't configured Node to accept it. So if you try setting that when you run your dev server, see if that solves it for you. Yeah, you can basically, you can stick it in your .env file, and that should work fine. Or you can just do it like just stick it in front of your command when you're running npm run dev, and that will work too. Does it work? Yeah, maybe that's a better option too. Presumably this makes the point that it is worthwhile for work to drop into streams from time to time. Okay, where are we going on PRs? How much can we get into 3.6? Now this would be worth checking. because this is a pretty wide-ranging refactor of the CSS inlining. Have I released? I'm going to trigger a release. And I'd like to test this. Okay, so let's try this. Inline CSS directly root component. Basically what this does is it lets us, let's see. What do I mean by that? Okay, I'll show you. So basically if you have a, if you have, say, an app here, and it has got some styles, so something like color red, and we build this, we build that app and run it. In production, this only works in production, to be fair. So then, if we take a look at the response that's going to come back, you'll see that in the HTML, we've added a little style tag, which says it's going to be red. And so what you should see is then before we even download the CSS here, we actually have enough CSS in the HTML to render it. So if we were to open that in the browser, we have that as red, of course, but let's see if we can block the CSS. So we can basically block that, and it's still showing up as red. And so this can improve your time to first byte. We can also, with this particular PR, we should even be able to do a little bit more. So like what we want ideally is not to have anything in here. And that's not actually working in this sandbox, but that would be the ideal. Great. I'm glad that solved it for you. Okay. Okay, come on, PRs. let's see if I can fix this, because ideally I wouldn't like this to be included in the build. Why is it? So what we do at the moment is we only are actually able to exclude it from the build if it's in CSS in Nuxt config, but I think we should be able to do it for more than that. I think we should be able to do it for more than that. Okay, so basically here we resolve that. Okay, we're generating the bundle and we can modify it at this point. So, okay, we're rendering the chunk. That's what we want. Okay, so, okay, let's try this. So when we're generating the bundle, we're going to only do this if it's the client build. And basically for, we can go around each file in the CSS map. And const chunk, oh no, we need to go over each file in the bundle. Let's try this. Okay, const chunk equals bundle file. And if chunk type is asset, continue. And basically what we want to do is remove styles from entry chunk CSS that are inlined. So we can add some very, very specific requirements to make sure we don't overdo it. So basically if chunk dot is entry, okay, this is what we're interested in. We should be able to access the module IDs, I think. Let's just build our playground. And we should see module IDs including a lot of things. And we should be able to filter that by CSS. And there we go. So these are things that are in our entry CSS. Let's see, let's try this again. Const entry CSS is bundle object values bundle find chunk type is asset and chunk it's chunk and entry. Okay. Okay, so we can basically get our entry CSS. And then what we want to do for this is if we find there is any asset wholly made up of these files, we can omit it. And we care about the CSS map, right? So let me just find it. So let's see, console. Console log. I think we might not be able to do this here. Let's see. We might have to do this in the manifest stage. Oh wait, this is actually giving us the source. That's not what I wanted. I was interested in the file name. Okay. This is not Nuxt, by the way. This is roll up and Vite deep integration. Like, don't be put off by this. Like, this is craziness. Right, really what we want here is, we're not interested in the bundle. This is the chunk. This keyboard is this one. It is the Q5 QMK keyboard. And welcome. It's nice to see you. Right. Thank you. I think it's the brown switches. Let me just confirm. It is, yeah, the Gateron G Pro brown switches. Wait, what happened? Ignore that, whatever happened there. Yeah, it is brown. This is what it looks like. It is incredibly heavy to pick up though. It's a nice keyboard. It's very nice, but it totally threw me how heavy it would be. Because previously I had another keyboard, which was really nice. Yeah, it's all programmable. So everything about the keyboard is programmable. There's an open firmware that lets you do whatever you want. But I use it's set to volume on my screen. So it doesn't have to be. But I couldn't think of a better use for it for the moment. Okay, what am I even doing? So basically we have, I'm trying to think. Now we have the CSS map. So let's just log object keys CSS map. So I think that should include the file. Right, so we basically have, well, that's odd. Why is it not in the CSS map? Oh, not the CSS map. This, the client CSS map. We should totally do that. I'm so sorry, David. David's probably heard this like ridiculous number of times. Okay, so basically we have interesting. Oh no, the CSS map is the thing that is importing it, but we also want to show what is imported. So basically, it would be object. It would be options client CSS map that. It is dank mono. Good eye. So yes, that is absolutely what it is. It's coming through correctly. This is all good. Which means that we have everything we need, I think. So basically what we want to do is get the entry CSS and somehow pass it back to the context. And then we can do something with that. So basically, the thing is we need to know the chunk, what chunk is the chunk that is omitted. I'm afraid dank mono is paid, but it's not as expensive as operator mono. You can buy it here. That it is £25, at least in the UK. Israel, hello. Did you see me reviewing your PR? I am in the UK. I am in the UK. And I am British, but I'm not originally British. So I became British. See if you can figure out. Well, you probably know where I'm from originally, but not originally from the UK. Yeah. Well, see if it is cheaper where you are. Some stores offer sort of like purchasing power parity. Yep, I'm originally American. I'm in the northeast of the UK, so not too far from Newcastle, Durham. Okay, so basically what we could do is something like set this on the options object, and then when we are iterating here, ideally we want to purge it at this stage. Sorry, this is a tricky one. This is a tricky one. So ideally what we want to do is purge the CSS that is going to be in the entry. So it's not double injected in the page. We already do that for anything in options.css in next config, but I think we can do that more broadly. And so we can do that in when we render the chunk, we can have a little chunk map. So that's just, we can add the type in a moment. So we're rendering the chunk. We can basically have, okay, we're adding stuff to the CSS map. That's fine. Let's try if options mode is client, console log chunk dot file name. These are only JavaScript chunks. Render asset is what we want. Okay. Is there a render asset? Let's see if we can get a render asset. is this just a Vite plugin? It's not a non-plugin. It's just a Vite plugin. So we have direct access to the hooks. So what do we want? What are we going to be able to access here? Can we basically end up, because basically this all gets like imported directly into the entry in this particular case. We should be able to know that. If if chunk is entry, what on earth do we have access to here? Chunk. I basically want to know the, oh, it's this probably, Vite metadata imported CSS. Because we're already using that, I think, somewhere else. Okay, so we've got access to this. I'm pretty sure it's not normalized though at this point. We don't have the final file names. We only have, okay, there's no CSS directly imported, I guess. We have things that end up getting included. Referenced files, I don't think. Module IDs does include some things, but I don't think it includes enough, or does it include enough? Because we're already using that to register the we're registering the CSS. So we have it there, have app.view CSS. What I'm trying to do is exclude this from the bundle. Is there a way of knowing this? So basically, when we're rendering the chunk, can we remove that? What happens if we modify it? So let's just try that. What is that going to do? Sorry about this, by the way. I'm just experimenting here. So what I want to see is that we can somehow, ideally, exclude that. So we do not have anything exported. That's what I would like to see. It's not enough to change the module IDs. Let's have a look at rollup documentation. Aha. Is that enough? Can delete the files in generate bundle. What about when we render chunk? Should update imports, imported bindings, and exports. Well, let's just check. Let's see if any of those contain some CSS that we could do something with. Yeah, that's not that helpful. Those are the exports, but they're not useful. Okay. And it won't have any reference in the code to the CSS either, because I think Vite by this point will already have resolved, like figured out what the CSS that's going to be emitted is. There just isn't enough metadata about the CSS entries, as far as I can tell, to actually do anything about it. So if I just log the file name, I don't get the CSS. Like, we don't have render chunk called on the CSS, I think. Asset. Set asset source, what's that? No. No, we just get it in the actual generation of the bundle. And I don't think it gives us enough to know. So basically, because it's possible also to have some things in the entry CSS that are client only and can't be included in the server bundle. So I may just be going a little bit too far on this one, down this rabbit hole. I have no doubt it's possible to solve, but I'm not sure that it's possible to solve right now. But ideally, that's what I would like to do. Like, we shouldn't be generating the same CSS twice. If we're going to inline it, it should, and we're always going to inline it, then it shouldn't be in the CSS. Like, we could potentially, yeah, not only almost every dev, me almost every day. Like, this is definitely maybe too far. So removing it at the end is totally acceptable. So we can do this. So like, and in fact, this is what we were doing before, slightly. So I'll comment this out and show you. So in Vite, we have build manifest. What is this? So we have build manifest, and we can remove it here. So this is what we were already doing for. But this only affects the server rendering side of things. It doesn't affect the file. So we could actually affect the file. So I think basically we could do this if so currently we are not removing the entry styles, because we need to know that every style that is in the entry CSS is removable, so it is inlined. So maybe we could just set an option here. So something like could try this. So something like fully inlined. And this is just a hack. I just want to see if it's going to work. Okay, so we're going to go to here. At this point, we know that, or let's make it more specific. So we'll just call it entry CSS. And we're going to pass it in. And we're going to modify it. And then we're going to read it afterwards. So we're going to say options.entrycss dot push. And then we are going to read it here. Entry CSS, entry CSS, and also we need to know something else. We need to know I think that's fair. So we basically need to iterate over it and basically say something like entry CSS map has something like that. So maybe we should do it easier just to output that. Let's try that. Okay, so we're logging in the entry CSS in the manifest. We're logging the entry CSS array. Okay, sorry, the entry CSS in the manifest. The entry CSS array here. That's the source. This is the export. This is the source. And then the chunks that have inline CSS. So this is the relevant one, probably. We need to do a little bit more work here, I think. So the entry CSS is being logged. This, but that's the source for the entry CSS. We still don't know. I guess what we need to know is that it's CSS and that some file contains it. This is tricky. So it's a multi-step process. So as part of the client build, we can add all of the source files to the entry CSS array. Then, as part of the server build, we would need to add it here. So let me show you what would come out there. Oh, those are actually just the specific refs. I think let's pick this up in a future PR, because I think the improvement here is real, but I do think we do need to handle this if we can, and I think it is completely legitimate to remove some of it, like as much as we can, and it's completely legitimate to do that after the build or at the build manifest step, like whatever we can do, but the more optimized and pruned it can be, the better. Okay. Right, I'm going to say that we are probably at the end of this stream because I have a few things to do in preparation for the actual release. And there's some stuff to do as well in Next Image, which I'm going to have to do post stream. But it has been a real pleasure. Let me see if there's anyone we should raid, if people are up for that, because I would not be at all surprised if there are some interesting folk around. No, Dax has already gone off, so we can't take anyone there. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining, and see you next time. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to copy that Heb, and we'll see if I can make anything happen from that. It's not enough to remove the entry. I can remove the entry CSS. The issue is I have to know that there is nothing else in the entry CSS that was not inlined. So like if there are client-only styles in the entry CSS, then I can't remove it. I have to be very careful about what bits I remove. Finite singularity. Okay, I'll raid it. If you're still around, if you've got no idea who this person is, I'm trusting you. Trusting you. Let's do it. Okay, people. Goodbye. See you later.